Okay, the efforts by the elites to rob you of your personal and financial freedoms is marching on. So let's talk about it. This is the Hey Ed YouTube channel. I am your host, moderator, and all-around nice guy, Edwin Anderson. I'm not a financial advisor. Don't construe anything that I mention in any of my videos as financial advice. Always do your own research before doing anything with your money. And today I want to talk to you about the ongoing efforts by unelected elite officials to rob you of your personal and financial freedoms. And I really hope that you watch this video all the way through and share it. If you don't mind, you support my channel by hitting that like button. Now, this is a kind of a favorite topic of mine, and that is the whole idea of establishing your personal freedoms, primarily through financial means. That's what the core of this channel is about, is making you aware of the efforts being made by the elites to keep you suppressed and what you can do to fight against it, how you can secure a modicum of your own personal freedom. And today's focus is on the efforts to diminish, if not kill, the world of DeFi. And I'm going to particularly highlight a very recent report that was put out by an international organization that should make you angry. At the very least, it should send chills up your spine. Now, let's just make one thing clear. That the traditional financial system, what's known as the TradFi, really hates and despises DeFi, decentralized finance, right? They see that as an existential threat to their way of doing business. And for people like you and I who are freedom-loving people, we love the idea of DeFi. We love the idea of being able to conduct business on a peer-to-peer basis. That is kind of the core of DeFi, right? But, they can't countenance this, okay? They cannot let this stand because, it erodes their power. Now, as bad as our elected officials are, the unelected officials, the regulators, these people are doing as much, if not more damage to our personal freedoms than the actual elected officials. These organizations, which are government organizations, but they set their own policy, they set their own regulations that we have to abide by. And if we don't abide by them, they're going to make our lives miserable, if not actually throw us in jail. So unelected officials do more to restrict our personal freedoms on a direct basis than actual elected officials. I mean, whether it's the kind of car that you want to drive, whether it's the kind of crop that you want to plant, whether it's the kind of employee that you want to hire for your business. These people want to, they want to manage every aspect of your life. And whereas the local regulators of our particular countries are evil people, the truth is that a lot of these organizations, a lot of these regulators are really taking marching orders from international organizations, some unelected elite in some foreign country far away. These are people with agendas. These are people with agendas that are not there to help you. These agendas are there to help them. Now, listen, we already know that our own government does not respect our own laws. They don't respect, the actual Constitution of America. And it's blatant. The whole idea of fiat currencies, of paper money, that all by itself is a disgrace. According to our own Constitution, no state shall make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payments of debts. That's in the Constitution. Okay, so right away, our fiat currencies, our dollar bills that are in our wallet, that is unconstitutional. But they don't care. Nobody called them on it. And so, this whole business of printing money freely and debasing our society. Listen, our own politicians, our own elite power base, they're doing more to damage our country than foreign entities. I mean, make no mistake. This whole business about controlling the financial industry, controlling your money, it's all about power. And let me remind you of the words of Mayor Rothschild. Let me issue and control a nation's money, and I care not who writes the laws. Yeah, that's what this is about. This is about power. And the power base at the center of controlling any society is the financial system, is about controlling money. And by the way, it's not just the liberals and the leftists, okay, which are outright, socialists and communists, okay? There are a lot of, quote, Republicans and conservatives who I have no use for, as well. We are essentially living in a uniparty country. But the socialist movement, they've worked their way into our society, and they've developed very deep roots. They've infiltrated our education system and our political class for decades now, for generations. And one of the core features for leftists to control you, to control society, is through the money system. And remember, this was at the core of the strategy of Vladimir Lenin to control the Soviet system. The way to crush the bourgeoisie is to grind them between the millstones of taxation and inflation. Does that sound familiar, guys? They want to control every aspect of your life, whether it's through the use of your money or whether it's through the surveillance system. They want to know where you are at all times. That's one of the reasons why they want these electric cars, which is a scam all by itself. Electric cars are a scam. Climate change is a scam. So these people, they see any kind of a challenge to the traditional financial system that they can control as a threat. They don't like the idea of cryptos. Now, it's true that now some of the big guys, your BlackRocks and your Vanguards of the world, they want to get involved because they see there's a lot of money to be made on Bitcoin ETFs, right? But again, this is, they know they can't, get rid of Bitcoin. They know they can't defeat it. So they're finding ways of incorporating it, and they're going to find a way to debase Bitcoin. Now, I think Bitcoin is going to be an enormous win over the next generation. Everybody should have some Bitcoin. But please, whatever you do not buy a Bitcoin ETF. Okay, that is a bastardization of Bitcoin. If you want to buy Bitcoin, buy it directly and own it directly. Okay, so I want to take a moment here to give a shout out to Coin Bureau and Crypto Casey. I got a lot of the information that I'm going to be giving you guys here, from them. You should check them out. So I'm going to talk to you about a report that was very recently put out by the International Organization of Security Commissions, otherwise known as IOSCO. Now IOSCO is kind of mostly influenced by our own SEC, but it is an international organization that issues policy recommendations. Now, we know they're not really recommendations. Whenever this organization issues a recommendation to all of the international, securities commissions out there, they're essentially adopted. Okay, so they call them recommendations, but they're pretty much marching orders. They want all the securities agencies throughout the world to be on the same page. So in this report, global securities regulator IOSCO issues DeFi policy recommendations. All right, so here we go. All right, so they don't like the idea of DeFi. They don't like the idea of people doing, business, financial transactions, peer-to-peer, person-to-person. They want to be the middleman. They want to control the middle. Okay, so let's be clear on that point, okay? Whenever this international organization makes recommendations, they're not really recommendations. They end up becoming regulations. And these regulations are adopted across the world with every major country in the world. So this is a concerted global effort to restrict, your options. And in the form of coercion, any country that does not adopt these recommendations, they get in trouble with U.S. regulators. If you're a country who does not want to adopt any of these regulations, your life is made very difficult by the bigger countries, namely the U.S. The U.S. is the big bully in the crowd. They will find a way to punish you. So this is another form of extortion by our SEC. So please, don't anyone tell me that our government officials, particularly our regulators, are not corrupt. They are. These people have an agenda, and they're going to do whatever they have to do because, remember, these are unelected, unaccountable people. They can do whatever they want. They're never going to lose a job. Matter of fact, they're always going to get promoted. The more they take away your freedoms, the more they're going to be promoted, the more they're going to be rewarded. Now, the primary reason why these unelected, bureaucrats can get away with imposing these regulations on you is because nobody reads these reports. Nobody, reads the minutia. But that's where the damage is done. It's in the fine print. It's in the legalese that you can't make heads or tails out of unless you have a degree from an elite, law school. But all these little regulations, they do affect every aspect of your life. So these people are slimy. And particularly in the world of crypto, where a lot of people really still don't understand crypto, okay? That's where they can really do a lot of damage. So they're doing whatever they can right now to stunt the growth of the whole crypto phenomenon.
Hucksters, fraudsters, scam artists, Ponzi schemes.
And this is why, this report out of IOSCO, their recommendations are so important to you, how they can affect you, even if you're not in crypto. The idea that they're tightening the noose around you, they're tightening your financial options. That is the key issue, right? They don't want any competition to the traditional financial system. So you need to be aware of what's going on, and you should be taking steps to guard against it. Okay, so these recommendations that are coming out of this IOSCO report are probably very soon going to become actual regulations. So in this most recent report, IOSCO listed 9 new recommendations. I'm not going to list them all here because I want to respect your time, and I know a lot of you guys don't have any patience for this. So in the description below, I'm going to put a link to that report so you can read it at your own leisure. I just kind of want to highlight a few things here to make you aware of it. Okay, so let's remind ourselves of what DeFi does, okay? So DeFi gives you access to financial services that you would get in the traditional financial system. The same stuff, right? Whether it's savings, whether it's loans, whether it's conducting business. The primary difference is there's almost never any kind of KYC involved. It's a pure peer-to-peer product where you can cut out the middleman. And, again, for freedom-loving people, this has been a boon to us. But, of course, the TradFi people, they can't allow that, right? Because it's an existential threat, to their power. Remember, we, as freedom-loving people, we are up against a global machine. So it is a constant effort to secure our personal freedoms. I mean, these large banks and financial institutions and, governments, they don't want this competition. They don't like competition. They want to control power. They want power centralized, where the DeFi is the exact opposite. It's in the name. Now, a poster boy of the fight against, financial freedoms, primarily related to the crypto space, is this guy here. I'm not going to say his name because I don't want the algorithm to pick it up. And I shouldn't mention the name of the organization he's in charge of, again, because the algorithm, will pick it up. But ever since this guy came into power, in 2021, he has been on a mission to destroy the crypto space.
Hucksters, fraudsters, scam artists, Ponzi schemes, hucksters, fraudsters, scam artists, Ponzi schemes.
Now, as I'm recording this, it is January 10th, and just so you know, yesterday there was a big scandal involved the release of the announcement of the approval of the Bitcoin ETF that everyone's been waiting on. So the scandal is that somebody supposedly hacked the X account for this government agency, and they announced the approval of Bitcoin ETF, and then 50 minutes later, they came out and said, no, that's not us. Somebody hacked us.
We have to actually go back and clarify something here. We did report here that the SEC had posted on X that they had actually approved Bitcoin ETFs. A spokesman is now telling Bloomberg that Bitcoin ETFs have not received approval on this Tuesday here. Now have further headlines here from Gary Gensler himself saying that the SEC Twitter account was compromised. Ooh. And that it says he did not approve Bitcoin ETF.
And a lot of people in that 15-minute span lost millions. I mean, millions. People who were short, Bitcoin, they lost a ton of money because Bitcoin spiked. But then it sold off, and a lot of people who were long Bitcoin, they lost a ton of money. A lot of people lost a lot of money through this. And listen, as far as I'm concerned, when the investigation is over, this is going to turn out to have been a manipulated move. This is corruption at its highest. But who is going to, investigate these people? These are the people who investigate other companies that were events like this happen, and they investigate them for market manipulation. Well, so who is going to investigate the investigators? This stinks to high heaven. These people are corrupt, primarily this person, and they say that their job is to protect us against scam artists.
Hucksters, fraudsters, scam artists, Ponzi schemes.
But in my book, these people themselves, they're extortionists. Okay, so let's get back to this IOSCO report. Now, it's very important for you to know that the members of IOSCO, the securities commissions across the world, they're global. Here's a map of the current members of IOSCO. Pretty much every country in the world are involved in IOSCO. Now, IOSCO just issued this report with 9 recommendations about how to regulate, the DeFi space, so that all of the member states out there can be on the same page, and they can all work in a coordinated effort to put a stranglehold on the DeFi space. And one of the recommendations is to start requiring KYC and identification. People have to reveal not only their identity, but potential conflict of interest with any program they're doing. The regulations are so onerous that it's virtually impossible for anybody in the DeFi space to meet the standards and that's kind of the point of this, right? They want to make it so difficult for people to operate in the DeFi space that people won't bother. That they'll just walk away from it. Now, whereas the SEC might be the controlling party in IOSCO, well, IOSCO is kind of like a subcategory of this organization, the World Economic Forum. This is a membership of global elitists who want to dominate the world. They want to control every aspect of our lives. And of course, the most effective way of doing that is financially. And you can even see that in the white paper that the World Economic Forum put out in May of last year. Pathways to the Regulation of Crypto Assets, a global approach. Okay, this is a global effort. This is not just the one agency in our country. This is a global effort to put a stranglehold on anything that you might do to live outside of the traditional financial system.
If Bitcoin becomes too powerful, you're going to see more legislation because it's too strong a threat to the US dollar, just like gold was. And that's why you see the COMEX manipulation of the gold price. If you have a Bitcoin ETF or Bitcoin becomes really predominant and really important, it's a threat to the broken system, the broken faith in our broken currency and our broken central bankers who have way too much centralized control of our economy. And we will see central bank digital currency in the next 3 to 5 years.
And these people work not just with regulators, but they work with lawmakers too. Okay, so this is a concerted effort by the unelected officials as well as the elected officials to put the kibosh on anything that competes with their agenda. Okay, so again, in the description below, I'll have a link to that report put out by IOSCO, so you can read it on your own. But let me just summarize, what the net effect of this report is. And these are 9 new recommendations for regulators around the world to implement, to put a stranglehold on the world of DeFi. So what you need to do is you need to stay current. Now, one thing you can do to stay current is subscribe to channels like mine, and I'll give you updates along the way about important changes in this space. But more importantly, start watching other YouTube videos of people who are up to speed on this kind of thing. And because you want to know if you're in a DeFi program right now, if things change in a substantial way, you're going to want to be aware of it so that you're not caught up in the net. But as long as DeFi is still operational, okay, you should take full advantage of it, because the DeFi space is a wonderful source for us to secure our personal sovereignty. But you do want to, stay tuned to whatever new changes that come along that will affect your participation in DeFi. You don't want to be caught up in the net. So just kind of stay educated, stay current on this kind of a topic. Now, the mantra of my channel, which sometimes I forget to say because I just forget, is number 1: reduce your exposure to your bank, put a bunch of your money into gold and silver, and establish streams of passive recurring income. And essentially, you want to find ways of living outside of the traditional financial system, because the deeper you are in the traditional system, the more enslaved you are. Yes, I used the word. Okay, you want to do what you can to secure your personal freedom, and it is becoming increasingly more difficult in order to do that. I mean, look, the powers to be, they're using all of these emergencies as an excuse to implement policies that ostensibly is for your protection. But what it's really about is controlling you. They want to know where you are at all times. They want to know what you're spending your money on all the time. They want to know who you're voting for. They want to know everything. And they want to control your access to anything that they don't want you to have access to. Never buy an electric car. Okay. Okay, so this video was kind of a rant, but it is kind of a public service announcement that I wanted you to be aware of the ongoing effort, the accelerated efforts to regulate your freedoms away. Subscribe to my channel, join the resistance. You can follow me on Twitter, but if you don't mind, you support my channel by hitting that like button and maybe even the notification bell. Ed Anderson, live from Minnesota, signing out.
Copy that.